Hello, welcome to Beach View, our podcast where we talk about all sorts of things. Welcome, Bryce.
Hello.
Hey, today we are going to talk about a couple of different topics, and of course, they're completely random. So the first one is sports. Let's talk sports. Yeah.
So, sports, they're a thing that you do.
Yeah, neither of us actively play sports, although you used to.
Yes.
Yeah, so, that's our perspective going in, but what have you been watching lately?
Oh, well, I was going to say, I used to play soccer, which leads into what I wanted to talk about, which is the Euro Cup, which is a soccer tournament. For people who don't know, every few years they do international tournaments where players get together with their country and split into teams based on that country, and they play a tournament. This is the off-season, so to speak, of it. It's not the World Cup, so it's not the entire world, but they are split into confederations based on the continents they're in, and this is the European one. And I've been watching that for the past few days, and it's been fun.
It's been fun. Any interesting stuff happening there?
Oh yeah, a ton. There's been quite a few good games. There was the Switzerland, I always mix those up when I'm saying them, upset France. It was quite a good game. They were down like 3-1 at one point and came back to tie it and then won in overtime. They got to PKs, which is penalty kicks, which is there's an overtime period, and if both teams are still tied after that, they go into penalty kicks where they line up and take shots like player for player at the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite an exciting match.
Oh, and today, who's playing today?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Well, that's interesting because I didn't know that it was like a bunch of teams. Well, okay, I didn't know that they split up into countries. Like, I just thought it was like different teams played each other like normal, and I didn't realize this was like kind of an off-season thing.
Yeah, they do that during. So they do normally have the, like, what you think of with sports. They have it's just the teams based in a city, and then they recruit players from wherever. Yeah. And because soccer is such an international game, you get players from all around the world, as opposed to a lot of American sports, which tend to have more, Americans. But,
right.
They do, international tournaments where, like, all the English players get together and play for England, all the, like, Brazilian players get together and play for Brazil.
That's cool. I like it. I've watched it occasionally, mostly when I'm up there by you guys or if we're at the beach or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, y'all are like my soccer hookup. So we don't watch a ton of soccer here, but at least I get my soccer news through y'all. So that's cool. How long does it last?
These tournaments usually last a month, the international ones. Though it depends on each thing. Like the World Cup lasts a month, the Euro lasts a month. I don't know about other tournaments.
Got you. Interesting. So do you have a favorite team?
I mean, not really. I don't. I just sort of watch for good games and stuff,
Yeah. That's cool. Well, that's awesome. I definitely want to get more into, like, every time we have March Madness, like with basketball, I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna watch it all, and then like I never do ever. Yeah. So I'm like just real bad at watching stuff. Like, I keep up with the news about stuff, but like I said, not really soccer. So that's kind of a cool, interesting thing. And it seems like the focus is really on sports right now, especially with the Olympics coming up. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited about the Olympics.
Oh, you watch the Olympics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you watch?
I've never been into
it.
I
love the Olympics. Yes.
I'll probably watch
favorite.
The women's soccer.
I was gonna say, you don't watch soccer during the Olympics?
Well,
I'm surprised.
Yeah, the men's is under. I forget what it is, but it's not the like full national team. It's like the under 21 or something. They let the young players play in the Olympics, as far as I remember.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I'll probably watch the women's soccer tournament at the Olympics.
Yeah. Well, I am super excited about the Olympics. And did you have anything else to say about the soccer tournament, or do you want me to go on?
Not in particular, but I will say, you mentioned like you had trouble keeping up with basketball and stuff. That's actually like something I kind of wanted to get into with sports, is that like, so you mentioned March Madness. The way I watch soccer is kind of the equivalent of like just watching March Madness. Like, I don't watch the regular season, like, team play, but I will watch the major tournaments that happen like that.
Well, that's what I like, because I don't have time, or even, I don't want to watch, like, every single game, like, for basketball that happen, because they play so often.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, a few games a week, and I'm like, I don't care about that, but I like the brackets for March Madness, and, like, trying to figure out who's going to win. And I like that whole thing. And I say that, but like I never fully commit to it. I always just like I said, catch the news about, who's moving forward and who's not. So like I really don't watch them, but I do like those kinds of tournaments like you're talking about it. I just think it's like it's kind of like concise. I mean, it's a month long, but it's like you don't have to watch every single game to like really get into those kinds of tournaments,
Yeah,
I enjoy that.
Easy to keep up with, and the stakes are high. But I have problems watching regular seasons because of that. Like every other sport but football. It's because, football happens on the weekend, and it's really easy to keep track of like the entire league.
Yes.
With that.
Right.
But, like,
yeah.
Other sports, it's just, like you said, it happens all throughout the week, multiple times a week, and it's just hard to keep up with.
Yeah, it really is. And then it's like, oh my gosh, like another game. Like you said, football is different. And we have like a whole, like in the South especially, I'm sure there's other cities that are like that, but it's so, everything's concentric around football games. Like here, like high school football is a big thing. I could not care less about high school football, but it's like, a big thing. People go to the games on Friday nights, and Saturday nights you watch college football, and Sundays are for NFL. Like it's a whole thing around football, and like people have to plan events like around the football schedule. So like if you try to schedule a wedding like the same day that LSU plays Alabama, like nobody's going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, it's like a huge thing. So anyway, I think that's pretty interesting how that has a huge following, but like, and it's easy to watch, like you said, but for me, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I'm not really fully invested in any sports. I just really like to, I love the Olympics. Like that's my thing. So I just find that really fun and exciting. And it's like the best of the best, quite an honor to perform in the Olympics. So, all right. So I'm going to talk about my recent foray into sports watching, I'll say. So I'm sure you saw the news about the former LSU track and field star Sha'Carri Richardson and what's going on with her. So I was most impressed. And before this even, she got into, the suspension, before that, I was just so impressed. For one, that we had an LSU girl who was doing so well, and she broke a world record back in April, and she's just amazing. And she's this kind of colorful character, I'll say. She's got, for her last race that she just did, she had like bright orange hair that she dyed that color so it would look like fire bursting behind her, and it's because it's like loud and dangerous. So she has this bright orange hair and these super long nails and these long eyelashes and like tattoos all over. And she's just like a very colorful character, like I said. And then she broke the record for the 100 meter earlier this year. And then she qualified for the Olympics, I think in June. Wasn't that in June? Yeah, because we just turned into July. So yeah, she qualified for the Olympics in the 100 meter. And that was super exciting. She ran a 10:86. And she was so fast, like she took time, like while she was running, to point to the clock. And that became like this iconic photo because she's, like I said, she's got these long nails and her hair's flaming orange and she's like pointing to the clock like, oh my gosh. And then it was a really heartfelt kind of story because as soon as she won that race, she ran up into the stands and found her grandmother and they were hugging. Her grandma like kissed her on the forehead. It was just super sweet. And she just seemed like a sweet girl and she was just really happy to make her family proud. And then we find out that her biological mother actually died the week before. And so that gave it even more meaning. So have you followed that story at all?
No, I don't keep up with like track and field and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, and so she only ran, I think, for her freshman year at LSU. And then she decided to, and she got awards and all kinds of stuff, like accolades for that. And she decided to stop. She decided to stop and focus on her professional career, which I thought was really cool that she made that choice because she is just amazing. So anyway, after that came out, just a couple of days later, we find out that she tested positive during that race for marijuana use. So that was a big, big deal because she's actually suspended for 30 days, which means that she cannot run the 100-meter at the Olympics. So that was a really sad thing. And I think the whole world is kind of like, let her run. There's a hashtag now, hashtag let her run. And so the whole world is behind her. And I thought it was really nice that the LSU track and field, they posted a statement the other day, I think yesterday or the day before, just fully in support of her. And you don't often find that, when an athlete tests positive and is disqualified from the Olympics, you don't really find that huge amount of support. But in this case, it was special circumstances, I think. And she really won the world's heart. And what I really like about this is that people are talking about mental health and that should always be a focus. And her statement that she said, if I can run, she may be able to run in the 4-woman relay at the Olympics. And she said, if I can, that, I'm completely grateful for that. If I can't, you know what, I'm going to focus on myself right now. And, I have to get through some things. So I like the whole conversation that's come out of it. I thought that was really cool. Just something different than normal. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so you've been keeping up with this because it's sort of a local sports story, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I first heard about this because of the controversy you brought up because she got suspended.
Yes.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. I mean, the Olympic Committee's weird and Byzantine sometimes.
It is.
And, with their rulings and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people were like, marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug. Right. So they like, if she can win, if she can run a 1086 tested positive for marijuana, like, more power to her, So, but I think everybody collectively understood. And look, she took full responsibility and she said, I know I wasn't supposed to do that, but I was using it as a coping mechanism, and that's not an excuse, but that's what happened, and I think that seeing the collective reaction that, we all sympathize with her, I just thought that was a really nice, I don't know, I thought it was a nice discourse because, normally somebody tests positive for something, you're like, get them out of the game, like that's not, but I thought this was a really good conversation that started worldwide about it, so I hope that she can compete, at least in the 4-women relay. I think that would be great. But if she can't, then you know what? She's like, I'm young. She's 21. I'm going to come back really strong. So I don't know. I think it's a great story, despite the controversy around it. I think it's a really cool story. So that's what I've been focusing on in the sports arena.
So you're more of a glass half full then?
Yeah.
Type thing. Because, I don't know.
Yeah, I just like this whole story. Yeah.
My engagement with it has been seeing that and seeing a bunch of people upset about the ruling, because it is ridiculous that, this is...
It is.
Absolutely not a performance-enhancing drug, and, it's like that because, you can't... Well, I don't know, maybe you can, but you typically don't test long-term for stuff like alcohol
Right.
So it's like, oh, this stays in your system longer, so if you get drug tested, and it's like,
Yeah.
she's not using while she's running, and even if she was, it's not like that helps you.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing was, okay, she had a lapse in judgment, but I think the world is going more to a place of, you know what, athletes are human. They are subject to emotion and lapses of judgment. And you can't hold somebody to the highest standard all the time. Like, that's how mental health breaks down, you know? So, I don't know. I just was thinking, this has got to change. But, you know, even if we don't get into the whole policy around that, it's just like, it was just a nice story. And her attitude about it, I thought, was really good. And for somebody to have lost her mom, it performed amazingly. And then to come out and speak in such a poised way, I just thought that was, I don't know, it speaks to her character. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I would never
nice.
be in that situation because I'm not a good runner, but if I was, I'd be.
Right. Yeah.
I would not be so
like, I
nice
suck at
about
running.
it.
No, exactly. Yeah. I agree with that. But anyway, so the other news that I've been watching is the Tour de France. So have you seen the coverage of that?
No, but I did see the one GIF that I assume you're going to bring up.
Yeah. Yes. So the first stage of the Tour de France 2021, I'm sure everybody has seen this by now, but a woman who I believe they identified as being from Germany was standing in the course with a bit like a sign. It said something like, it was a message to her grandparents, okay? So she was obviously trying to get on TV with this message to her grandparents on this cardboard sign. Well, so the Tour de France had started, and she's like right by, you know, the riders coming up. Well, a couple of riders like knock right into the sign. She throws them off their bikes. It causes a massive wreck, a huge pile up, and we're talking like people laying on the ground, bikes broken, like people having to be transported to the hospital. Like, it was a big, 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 big deal for this one woman just to like have her sign in the middle of the road. So that was pretty funny. So you saw a GIF about it?
Yes, that GIF was like all over the place. It was just the bikers, you know, all coming out in the row, and then she's just like in the way of one of them enough to like knock them down like they're bowling pins or something, or dominoes.
Yes, it was insane. I just was cracking up. It's not funny,
right, yeah.
But it is funny. You know?
If this were in a cartoon, you know, you could laugh at it without feeling bad because, you know, the real people weren't hurt.
Yes, and I mean, it knocked a couple people out of the race completely. And this is a huge, huge deal. The Tour de France is like the pinnacle of the cycling world, and some of these riders can't compete now because they were hurt, they were injured, and cannot compete. And I would just be so upset.
Right? Yeah.
This woman's stupid sign. It's like, and you know she wasn't thinking. Like, it didn't look like it was an intentional thing, you know? But I feel really bad for her. And I had read like subsequent stories that she like fled the country, like back home, and they were looking for her because there's like lawsuits now. And
right.
I don't know. Have you seen anything about that?
Yeah, I saw she fled the country. That's about it, though.
Yeah, I would too. I'm sorry. Like, that's kind of
right?
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel bad for her. But the couple of other stages after that, there was some other wrecks and stuff. And Travis, my husband, was telling me that the riders staged a protest, which it wasn't. I mean, it was kind of, to me, like a, you know, not a full-on protest, but they, at one of the the third or fourth stage, I don't remember exactly, but they rode real slowly for like the first 5 minutes, and they kind of like stayed in the road because they were saying that the course conditions were not good. So we had that first wreck on the first stage, and then some of the course, like they had like a wide road, and then it would, you know, go to like a skinny lane, and like, so all these riders are having a, you know, kind of bottleneck, and it just wasn't safe, and it caused some accidents again. So anyway, I thought that was funny too, because they had like a little mini protest. I don't know if that really solved anything or helped anything, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. You mentioned, like, some of those riders being injured by that woman. Reminds me of something, a player got injured during one of the Euro games that I was watching, and you could tell, like, he was really upset about it. I was just thinking about, like, like, these are some, premier events for your sport, and you train really hard, and you're really excited to go, like, compete in them, and to be injured during that, it must be heartbreaking.
I would assume so. And like I said, I've never experienced that because I've never played sports. But it's so sad. It's like these poor people. And then you think, well, maybe now wasn't their time to shine. Maybe they'll sit back, they'll heal from their injuries, and then come back even better. So at least that's the hope, I guess. But it must be devastating to be knocked out, on an injury.
Especially like that like I could see, I guess it's one thing if you get injured during like the regular course of the event, but like something like that happening, I imagine that they're probably pretty mad. That's probably why she fled the country.
I guess so. Yeah, and it's like you can't help but laugh because it's so ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? And I have kind of a perspective on this because I've actually seen the Tour de France in person twice. So I know when you're on the course and you're right by the players and it's like, come on, like you have to know, like that's not proper etiquette, So it's really cool. But I got to see quite by mistake one time, I think I talked about this before, in Paris, we kind of stumbled upon the Tour de France, the final stage, and it was the last one that, what's his name? Lance Armstrong was the last one that he won, and of course at the time we didn't know he was doping, so it was it was exciting. But it was on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, and we saw the final run on that one. That was super cool. And then a few years ago, I went with Travis and our brother-in-law Brandon and Travis's sister Amy and my mom. We all went to see we were in Talois, France, and we saw like a climbing stage of the Tour de France, which is cool because they're going slower. They're riding up more slowly, and you really have a lot of time to see them. And the victory of that was that, I forget the guy's name, but one of these like amazing riders threw his water bottle and Travis and Brandon caught it and they were so excited. Yeah, they had this guy's water bottle. It was just hilarious. Yeah.
That's gotta be like catching a baseball, like, a home run.
Yeah. I was laughing so I'm like, y'all are so goofy. But it was just really funny. I can't believe I don't remember the name of the person because they must have repeated it like 80 million times on that trip. So, yeah, it was funny. But anyway, so that's my sports stories today. I've been watching an unusual amount of sports in the past week. So, I guess because it's gearing up to the Olympics. Like, yeah. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to watch them,
Well, yeah. So, I guess that's all we have for sports.
I mean, yeah, that was kind of a lot of news. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, then, let's move on to our next topic.
Yeah.
We were having trouble come up with one, so I was like, well, let's watch this video called Charlie the Unicorn, which I'm sure I'd shown you before, but maybe you don't remember, or maybe I didn't and showed it to someone else. But this was really popular back in the day. Came out 13 years ago in 2008. Yeah, this was, like, incredibly viral at the time. And, what are your thoughts on it now, 13 years later?
Well, I gotta say, it's a blockbuster hit, obviously. No, I actually did not remember this, okay? So, I just watched it, and I have to say it was interesting. Yeah.
Interesting in a bad way? Do you want to give a brief...
Yeah. It was funny. It really was funny because you're like, what? Okay. But, you want to give a brief synopsis of Charlie the Unicorn?
Yeah, alright. So we have Charlie, the titular character, and he's sleeping in this meadow, and then there are these two other unicorns that come up that are blue and pink, and they have this really high-pitched voice, and they're like, "Hey, Charlie, we found a map to Candy Mountain." I'm not doing the voice. You can do it if you want.
It's like, Charlie! Wake up, Charlie!
And, yeah.
That's perfect.
So they start bothering him to go to Candy Mountain. He clearly, doesn't want to, but they're aggravating him, and he relents and goes, and they go on this journey. They run into a dinosaur thing. I forget what it was called.
It's like a Leoplanosaurus or something,
Yeah,
I don't know.
And the dinosaur gives them directions. There's more antics here. Then they go on a bridge, and Charlie's like, "I'm getting splinters. I don't like this. I don't think this bridge is safe." And they're like, completely ignoring him, and they're like, "We're on an adventure to Candy Mountain." And then they get there, and there's a cave, and Charlie didn't think it was real, but it turns out it was real, and there's a cave, and they're like, "You gotta go in the cave," and he's like, "No." And then these dancing letters that spell out candy come up and sing a song, and then he's like, "Okay, I guess I'll go into the cave." And he goes into the cave. They close the door on him, and he's like, "Wait, what are you guys doing?" And then you hear, punching noises, like cartoon punching noises. And then he wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, they stole my kidney." And that's it. That's the whole plot.
The funny part of this is that Charlie is like this gruff voice, and it's like what would you say, like a Brooklyn accent kind of thing. He's like,
"Yeah, a bit,
I don't want to go to the cave, guys." I can't even do it right, but it's like this gruff voice, and the other ones are like, "Charlie, we're on a magical adventure." So it's super goofy, like the voices that they use and how they're like aggravating the crap out of him. So he's like, "Okay, let's go." Yeah. And then he ends up getting his kidney stolen. What's the moral of this story, do you think?
It's just a comedy, it's your basic double act comedy routine. You've got your straight man and Charlie, and then you have your wacky people who are, that bounce off of them in the two blue and pink unicorns, and it's just them being annoying to him, and then eventually stealing his kidney.
He's like, he's got to be thinking like, "Oh man, like can't believe I let them talk me into this," Yeah. But I thought it was funny how he's like, "They stole my kidney," like as if he knew. Like, how do you know somebody took your kidney,
I guess you just know. Maybe it's different for unicorns.
I guess you just know. Yeah. But that had a turn that I didn't see coming.
Right.
I kind of thought, like, when he got to Candy Mountain, he was gonna, like, turn into a happy-go-lucky unicorn like the other ones,
Nope.
Yeah. Instead, he was violated and had his organs stolen.
Yeah. What did you think of the song that played?
I was trying to follow it. I was like, this is so goofy. I mean, it kind of reminded me of, like, the antics on Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. But I thought this was, like, just a goofy song, and they're singing about getting a candy rush, basically. I probably missed some things. Like, I need to watch it again and see, like, what did I miss? Yeah.
It's really lyrically complex for what's a, like, rather simple comedy bit.
Right. It's kind of goofy, but, yeah. I don't know where did the candy letters, like, singing fit in? It just doesn't fit in, and that's why it's kind of funny as well.
Right, yeah.
Well, I mean, I say they don't fit in, and we're talking about, like, colored unicorns,
Yeah,
so.
You're dealing with magic once you're at that point.
I guess anything goes. I mean, you have a whole mountain full of candy, and I'm questioning why the letters are singing. It doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, this was another interesting saga that you shared with me. Again, broadening my YouTube horizons, I think.
You keep saying that. I don't know if I'm broadening your horizons, though.
I mean, I would never be exposed to this stuff normally. Like, I would probably see the title Charlie the Unicorn and just be like, yeah, I'm gonna skip that one.
Yeah, plus you're a bit old to have really, been into this at the time it was popular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was too busy, like, hustling hard in my 20s at that point. Adulting. That's pretty funny. Yeah, you were a lot younger, so this was probably like, was this a popular thing like at school?
Yes, it was popular online at school. I think at some point there were like shirts of that you could buy
What? Okay.
Like,
I missed all of that.
Yeah, no, this was a big deal amongst people my age group, and I think, like, a little older. Like, it was everywhere.
What?
Like, that one line, shun the non-believers, shun, like, after he says, like, he doesn't believe in Candy Mountain. That was, like, everywhere.
Yeah.
People quoted that all the time. Like, people quoted this all the time anyways, but that, like, one particular line,
What?
I heard it, and I was like, oh god, I remember that.
I do not remember any of this. So I was out, like you said, I was older at the time. I was out of that whole pop culture of Charlie the Unicorn, I guess.
Yes.
That's so funny. I can't believe that was like a whole movement and I didn't even know about it.
I mean, I might be, like, overestimating how popular it truly was just because, you know, I was...
Well, they had t-shirts about it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
I was young, so it's hard to evaluate that more objectively, but yeah, I remember this being everywhere.
Yeah. I think it's funny though, like, having siblings so much younger than me is really fun because y'all keep me up to date on, like, what's happening and, you know.
Well, I keep you up to date on what's happening
All
in,
the
like,
stupid
2006,
things.
so...
13 years ago.
Yeah, both this and the last
Yeah,
episode
but-
are from around the same time, and it's not recent. It's more than a decade ago.
Yeah, but isn't it fun to revisit stuff? Like, and it's interesting for me to learn, like, wow, that long ago?
Yeah.
This happened, and, like, what was I doing? I don't even remember.
Not this.
Yeah. Not that. No, I was really busy. In 2008, I was in grad school. I was planning a wedding and training for a marathon. There was a lot
of
going on
stuff.
at the time. It was a lot, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, man, I really missed out on this.
Yeah, which is why I brought this up in part, because I thought it'd be interesting to have your perspective on it. I thought you would be more negative on it
yeah.
than you were.
No, I have an open mind when it comes to YouTube videos, but I thought it was funny, but I was, like, when I was watching it, I was kind of like, what? Okay, like, this is crazy. You know, kind of like the don't hug me, I'm scared. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, who thinks of this stuff? And, like, how does it blow up? Like, I always am interested in...
that one's easy. I
Yeah.
can tell you exactly why this got as popular as it did.
Okay, how?
Okay, so it's like, you know, animation, and its humor styles particularly well suited to, like, the humor of the era. There's a lot of, like, so random humor during that time period, and this fits in. Like, they go
Yes.
talk to a dinosaur, and it's unicorns going on an adventure to a candy mountain.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, it's a classic comedy double routine. You have your straight man and your, like, two wackadoos bouncing off of it. And the voice acting, I think, really sells it. Like, a really
It does.
distinct, like, voice that the two, unicorns make, the blue and pink one, that are, like, you know, people
Yeah.
loved, mimicking it and quoting it, so...
I can see why. That's going to be stuck in my head for a while. Charlie! Oh, if only I knew somebody named Charlie that I could do that too. Yeah, 13 years later, they'll be like, what?
Yeah. Oh, and that twist at the end, like at the little bit at the end where they, like, actually malicious this whole time. They, like, lured him there to steal his kidney.
Yes. Well, and it was kind of interesting because you could tell he knew something was up, you know. Why are these two little wacky unicorns trying to make me go to Candy Mountain when I don't want to go, you know? But, so he knew he should have followed his instinct, his little unicorn instincts, and stayed sleeping in the peaceful meadow.
Yes.
Yeah, now he's subject to infection. I'm sure some other, you know, failed organs.
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I liked it. It was funny. It was kind of like, what is this? You know. So it looks like there's a whole series, right?
Yes, there were, I think 4 of these.
Oh my goodness.
One thing I can say about the rest of the series is I know the songs get more elaborate.
Oh gosh, this one was already elaborate.
Yeah, well, maybe not elaborate in, like, that sense, but, like, this
Okay.
one didn't have, like, a strong melody to me, and it felt kind of thrown together except
No.
for the lyrics. The songs definitely get a stronger, like, become a stronger part of the series.
Okay. Is it worth watching?
I don't know. One of the reasons I brought this up is because I thought I was going to be like a lot more negative on it, walking down memory lane. I thought it was going to be, oh yeah, this thing I liked as a kid, and wow, that did not hold up. But like the comedy's mostly fine still. It's like it definitely from a time and place, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
That's pretty funny though. It's like how you remember things in your mind, and then you watch it again, and you're like, oh, okay, we weren't that dumb when we were that age.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. So I wonder if like Bree, for instance, who's, a good bit younger than you, like would she know anything about this?
Maybe, but probably not.
Yeah. Just curious on like the generations. Yeah, like who knows about this? Like would Brenna know?
Yes, Brenna would.
Who's only a couple years younger, so yes, she would know about it. But
I'm gonna go tell her, Candy Mountain Charlie, later and see what she says. I said I wasn't going to do the voice, but I did it.
Hey, you did a good job. I mean, it's so funny. I love it. Okay, that's going to be a part of my goofy voice acting now. So I'll add that to the arsenal whenever I'm being goofy. And I'm definitely going to have to show Travis. So all these little shows that you get me to watch, I also show Travis.
Oh, no. I need to pick more good ones then.
No, like it's funny to see his reaction too. Like he liked the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared one. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know about this one still. It's not Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared levels. I will say that much.
No, but... Well, I liked it because it wasn't as gory,
Oh, right. Well, they did take his kidney.
They did. He had like a cut on his side that you could see that was like bleeding. Yeah. So, poor little horse. Or unicorn.
Unicorn, yes.
Whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, on that note, all right. Well, we'll have to come up with some topics for next time. Some more crazy videos to watch. I said I was going to find some stuff for you to watch, but I just have not had time to do that, but still on my list of things to do.
Yes. But I was going to ask, did you want to watch the rest of this series?
I mean, I feel like I have to now.
Oh, no. Okay, well, I guess we'll put that on the docket. There's also a spin-off series I just looked up to confirm called Charlie Tay Unicorn, like the but misspelled.
What?
Yeah, and I only watched the first one of those, so I have no idea.
What, is it the same character?
Yeah, it's the same characters, but I think it's a bit like a different comedy style, a bit more laid back and less like narrative driven, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I don't think there's a song in it.
I mean, I feel like with these things, like some people have a lot of time on their hands. They're just like making up this crazy stuff. But, I enjoy it because of the creativity that comes out of it, I like it. Anyway, well,
yeah.
I guess,
right, well.
Does that conclude? Does that conclude today's podcast?
But yeah, I guess that's it, unless you have anything to add about sports or unicorns.
No, I can't say that I do. I will say, as I've previously stated, that I am super pumped up to watch the Olympics. So I'm sure I will be talking a little bit about that in upcoming podcasts as well.
Maybe they'll have unicorn water polo.
I mean, I would be down for that. I would totally watch that.
That's my attempt to awkwardly join these two topics together.
I like it. It was very nice. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, I guess if that's it, I will take us out.
All right.
Thank you for watching our podcast Beach View, where we talk about weird and wacky things. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Charlie.
Oh, no.
I couldn't resist.